new episode of Strategy Unplugged. Today, we have with us Dr. Rajeev Anantaram, Professor of Economics at IMI New Delhi since 2012. Sir, it is a matter of extreme honor to have you here for the episode The Farmer's Bill. Today, there's a lot of discussion in the agricultural sector due to the passage of three legislative bills in the parliament. First, the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Bill. Second, the Farmers Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill. And third, the Essential Commodities Bill. The recent bills have caused a lot of groups to come forward with their displeasure with the current move. Therefore, it becomes extremely important to deliberate on the key aspects of the bill. So, there is a lot of curiosity regarding the current enactments. First of all, I would like to ask, what benefits can the farmers avail from the execution of these bills?
The first thing is, let's understand why the MSP was put in place. Okay, the MSP essentially is put in place when the so-called market institutions, are not, there is essentially an information asymmetry between the producer and the buyer, which is kind of, tilted in favor of the buyer. In this case, the trader, the Aratias, the etc. So obviously, this was a well-meaning gesture which came up in the 1960s, to provide a minimum support price. Now, the minimum support price also has certain more fundamental, more direct benefits. One is to compensate the farmer. For price increases of inputs, labor, pesticides, fertilizers, etc., operating costs, basically. So you compensate him for that. The other thing is to incentivize him to persist with a rather hard, occupation, namely farming. So you definitely had a minimum support price which would actually compensate him for that. Now that's obviously not enough, because when the crop fails, because the minimum support price is simply what you get, your revenue would be the minimum support price times the amount sold. So when let's say there was a flood or a drought or whatever, so in which case what happened is you didn't have any income because you had no output. So the government has had farmers insurance, crop insurance. So if the crop fails, you will get at least something in return. Now, the MSP, simply meant that, in its purest form, meant that the farmer took his produce, and remember, all crops are not covered by the MSP. The farmer took his produce, who the official mandi is known as the APMCs, and sold his product there at the MSP. There were mandi fees, but then you still got a kind of a fair shake. So this was supposed to actually liberate you from the clutches of the trader, who would come and then buy your stuff at a price which was lower than the MSP. So, but the truth of the matter is, most farmers in India have holdings of less than 2 hectares. So when they grow rice and wheat on those 2 hectares, what the first thing they do is, after harvest, set aside something that will sustain them and their family for the rest of the year. That's what they will eat, the dal roti chawal, and then sell the rest. But many times what happens is, the amount produced, the residue, production minus the consumption, personal consumption, is not enough. There's a cost of bagging, there's a cost of transportation, then you pay the mandi fees. So it was always easier for the farmer to deal with the Arahatia who came to his door, weighed the stuff, picked it and gave it away, albeit at a price which was lower than the MSP. So right now what's happening is, the truth of the matter is, right now, only 6% of farmers, and that too in places like Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, and maybe Tamil Nadu, where there is a proliferation of APMCs, use the mandis. Use the mandis. The rest actually work in, just have private transactions with the traders. The rest have private transactions with the traders. Now, the issue is, what has the law done? the law says that you can bypass the APMCs. Okay, you don't have to sell to the APMCs, which most people were not doing anyway. Okay, 94% of people were not doing it anyway. But what the UPA had done in 2012 had inserted this thing in the Farm Reform Bill, which said that any private transaction could not take place at a price less than the MSP. So whether you went to the MSP or not, even the private Aratia had to pay the same amount to the farmer. Now, can the government actually ensure this? That's one issue. Okay, so essentially what happened is something similar took place in China in the 1980s, as I keep mentioning to my classes. Okay, part of the production was taken by the government for reasons of food security, about 40-45%, and the rest could be sold at the market price anywhere, including exports. Okay, including exports. So if that facility is held, obviously that is an incentive for productivity. You will produce more, okay, because outside you get a price even higher than the MSP. The MSP is your safety net in China. Okay, that's what you will get, which covers all your costs, your basics. If you produce more and give 40% away to the government, more than the 40% that the government is asking for, you can sell 60% at any prevailing price. Okay, oftentimes the prevailing price was more than the MSP, so the farmer ended up making a lot of money. So this is an option that is being given to the trader. But given the lack of infrastructure, given the lack of institutional kind of arrangements, and given the obvious information asymmetry, okay, only time will tell how this works.
Yes, sir. So this brings me to my next question. Was there a need of such bills being passed during this difficult time?
Now, by difficult times, what exactly are you referring to?
Like the pandemic situation where everyone is struggling.
Well, I mean, you'll be surprised that even in the pandemic, okay, thanks to distancing, etc., practiced, they're expecting a bumper rabi crop. Okay, they're expecting a bumper rabi crop, and as a result of that, they are so the pandemic has not really impacted the MSP to the agricultural production and the welfare of the farmer. So that has not really happened. Kind of almost a bump in the road. Okay, that's almost a bump in the road. So that's not really the thing. The bigger issue, okay, are problems that come with lack of irrigation. So if the irrigation fails, okay, if it doesn't rain, see, only 45% of land in India, agricultural land, is covered by agriculture, by irrigation, I beg your pardon. Okay, 55% is not. Okay, so if it doesn't rain, then there's a problem. So the government's rules don't work at all. Government's rule, the reform the government has done, okay, this reform, I'm talking about this reform, essentially has to do with output. So if you sell it, for example, the MSP is 1800, somebody is willing to pay you 3500. And just to give an example, obviously the farmer is better off. Okay, but oftentimes the APMC is probably the safest kind of bet, because most farmers, the idea is they've tended to be exploited.
Definitely, sir. So this brings me to my last question. How can the farmers use the bills to increase their own productivity and make the best use out of the changes that have happened?
Yeah, productivity, what is called total factor productivity, depends on a variety of issues. Okay, if you found a productivity surge, especially in the staples, which is wheat and rice, in the 1960s and 1970s, okay, it was an all-round effort. It's not simply that more land came under cultivation, irrigation facilities improved, and more importantly, what happened is the farmer government interaction through, okay, what is called knowledge transfer, okay, from the so-called CRG labs, Center for Agricultural Research labs, okay, to the farmer, which included soil testing, soil this thing, etc. Now, this was started by the Manmohan Singh government in 2005, And I'm very happy to tell you that the present government is continuing it. So productivity actually depends on a combination of factors. There is something called a price incentive, okay, which actually anyone who studied demand and supply will know. So if you increase the price, the farmer is more likely to do it because he's incentivized by the price, okay? But productivity per se, okay, depends on many factors. I mean, I may want to, but I may not be able to because of certain conditions, okay?
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule to discuss the burning
It's my
issues of
pleasure.
it. I'm sure it was an insightful podcast for the viewers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for being such dedicated viewers. Hope to see you in the next episode. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy.